Welcome back to the Chester Beatty, where the power of making, reading and writing comes alive. In this film, we delve into the creative processes behind sacred texts and how they shape our perception of faith. How does the act of making and engaging with these texts resonate with you?
Making, reading and writing are acts of devotion through which we honour our faith and preserve our traditions for future generations.
The intricate craftsmanship and attention to detail in these manuscripts reflect the reverence and care we hold for our sacred texts. It's a way of connecting with the divine.
When we engage with these texts, we delve into the stories, teachings and wisdom passed down through the centuries. It's a transformative journey of learning and introspection.
Join us as we explore the following 3 objects from the Chester Beatty collection that illustrate the art of making, reading and writing.
It's a beautiful object, really beautiful. There's 3 bands of text with some smaller bits, but what strikes you at the start is just the text. It's so beautifully rendered. When you look at it, it's a sort, I was going to say it's a nearly contemporary look about it, because it's like a design style thing that you'd see now, but obviously 800 years old, but it's sort of timeless. And the notion that it's made by a human hand. I mean, it's the sort of thing now that would be produced by a machine or by a computer, but it had that human thing in it that it's made. So that's the thing that struck me immediately, was just the beauty of it. It also intrigued me because at one level it's very simple. I mean, the aesthetic is very simple, except when you look at it a bit more closely, there's all this wonderful gold and richness about it. The black in it is really black even after 800 years. So there's something going on. There's a simplicity, but there's also a great richness in it. And then the question about, like, what does it mean? And does it matter what it meant? In my own tradition, Latin was the common language, but that was a language of communicating information. And we have lovely Latin songs and so on, but that can be, in my tradition, you know, you can do that in other languages. But the centrality for Islam of the Arabic language and text was something that I hadn't really picked up on, but I could see what the power of that could be.
I had a little awareness of calligraphy, partly because the Baha'i writings were written in the 1800s and the calligraphy was greatly valued still because it emanated from that background. But when I looked at these 2 pages, it's very sparse in terms of print. You wouldn't say you're getting good value from your page, but when you look at just black ink, beautifully tailed letter endings, then gold contrasting with the black, the color scheme and the delicacy of the calligrapher. What instrument was used to do this? That's what interested me. You know, I don't see any blots of ink around the place. This is a beautiful work of art in itself. If you didn't believe in anything or whatever, you must acknowledge that. And there was one little piece, I think it looked like a little coin at the bottom, which I didn't quite know what it was, like a little gold coin. That's a mystery to me still. But I had heard that in Islam, I understand, architecture and calligraphy are 2 greatly admired ways of expressing reverence and admiration for the creation.
The text I wanted to share with you is an English Bible. It's called the Walsingham Bible, and it's from the 12th century. So quite an early example of a medieval text. The question that always comes to mind is, how is it made? And for me, there's 2 parts of that process. So there's understanding the physical making of the text itself, the craftsmanship, the time, the pigments, the inks, all of those things that came together to produce these exquisite and unique texts. And the other half of it is the role of the maker within that process. So the scribe or the calligrapher or the illuminator. Also reflecting on those different roles across different faiths. Because I think for me, what I've seen across this project is how many similarities within the spiritual process of making that we can draw upon.
Many of the people, even in the 1800s, visual items were very important for people who didn't have the opportunity to learn to read, perhaps. That's one thing. But I think, depending on the cultural background you're from also, some may kind of say, oh wow, that's not my taste, artistically, if you like. But one has to recognize, you know, putting aside prejudicial attitudes from one's own culture, that each of them has this basic respect. And that's what I would see as an outsider. I'd have to say, from over all the texts, including this one, what struck me so strongly was the commonality at the base of all religious thinking. They actually have a kind of a reality speaking to us now. Each of these great faiths had the same spiritual basis, and they were part of the progressive revelation of God's revelation to humankind. There are a number of similarities. There's a creative force. There's a covenant between the creative force and the believers that they should try to adhere to, and there are many ways of expressing it, some of which we see in the Chester Beatty Museum.
Through the act of making, reading and writing, we unlock the doors which shape our perception of faith and embrace the shared knowledge of diverse faiths. As we engage with these sacred texts, we deepen our appreciation for the beauty and wisdom they hold. This film is part of a series called Faiths in Focus, developed in partnership with the Chester Beatty and Dublin City Interfaith Forum. Why not check our other films? And if you like the content, please share and give this video a thumbs up. You can find more information and links in the video description.